Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to our Wednesday evening chanting and meditation. So this is the moment of short reflection before the meditation. So this time of the year, we are facing with a lot of crisis, and we hear a lot of news regarding the war and the problems in the world. And often we become very worried about it, and various reasons. And somehow indirectly we are affected by these activities and that is taking place, although it may seem far, but it becomes very close. So it was about 2004 or 2003. For the first time I had to write an article on a piece to submit for the university entrance. And it took me quite a while to write and think about it. And after spending some times, my English was already bad enough, and I wasn't exposed to the world much at that time. So and then during that time, 9/11 took place, and then Iraq war just happened. And then when I wrote an article, I was explaining that these conflicts and a war took place simply because of the greediness of Asian individuals, those who are in the power. And that's exactly what's happening again after maybe, let's say, 20 years. Although it had happened many times, not in this scale. Seems like a third war is just about to begin. Quite a bit scary. So it reminds me that when we read the scriptures in the Dhammapada, it comes to stories saying that if people begin to dive into their own life and knowing that this life is fragile and not that long it's going to end, then there will be no conflict. But somehow we always have this thought that we're going to be for forever, never gonna die, and I must have a power over everybody. I must get everything. But eventually, doesn't matter how much you get, doesn't matter how much power you acquired, never ends. That's why Buddha says that the desire never ends. It's called a nati sama nadi. So it's like a river, a water in the river. desire always flows, never ends, never enough. And that's the cause of the troubles. And the trouble, if we look at it from now in a world level, we look out there, and this is because of them. They are greedy. Because of them, they are desire to have a power. But when we reverse that back to ourselves, we are no better than them too. But in our own scale, we are also in that similar state. We also still have the desire to have this or to have that, and also want to have a power over this person or that person, because we think that we are also going to live a long time. Now these desires and these wish is something that we all have it. And only matter is that how much we are control over it. And here comes the principles that we normally call it ethical practice or living morally, moral practices. And the person who reflects on the moral practices will try to refrain or committing from any reactions or anything that violates, which will cause trouble for other people and to ourselves. And with that again, despite we may have a desire to acquire things, and yet we have some basic human instinct, seeing that as I feel pain, they feel pain too. As I feel sad, they feel sad too, and so on. So with that, then these ethical practices really prevents from committing the large harmful actions that would harm many beings as well as that causes us to. And now further on, if we look at that even more closely, if we are living ethically, that really gives so much lightness within us and so much happiness that we receive. Wherever we go, we have no fear. Wherever we go, we don't have to feel ashamed. And you can sit in the middle of the crowd without having any fear at all. Not like someone who had done something against the moral practices, then there is a fear that they may find it out or they may speak it out in the middle of the crowd. There is a hesitant to stand up in the middle of the crowd. So that's one of the teachings, one of the reasons that the Buddha laid down these rules, simply to make you free and you be standing in the middle of the crowd like the lions. Similar way, if we are practicing even the basic ethical practices, we will be free and we can work freely wherever we go. Our mind is free. The way we work will be free and we don't have to have any fear at all. Now further on, not only living standard becomes so easy and we live happily, if we bring even more closer to look at our own mental states, then we realize that our mind also very calm and very peace, much easy to get into the meditative states, because there is no problems, there is no violations in the scenes, in the practice. So that's why this ethical practice became the fundamental part if we really are looking for the development in the practice of a meditation. And this development leads to understand things as they truly are. Now, as we know, the practice, it's not that easy. The more we began to practice, we see that these ethical practices are really important to makes our mind easy to be in the meditative state. So that's why it's very important. At least 5 precepts is soundly practicing in a daily life, and that's which will help us to live our life happily, as well as our mind becomes calm and collected, and when we don't need to worry about the results of the practice. Gradually we see the further details in the practice, how things are and how things are going. We have to remember that the practice of a meditation, again, it's not about gaining something, but we are losing our greed, losing our desire, losing our attachment to this, whether the assets or whether the power. So I offer this as a reflection for tonight, and let's practice meditation.